Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 400th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 30th, 2021. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond. I'll be a host once again here, as in the last 399 Knowledge Seekers Workshops. And of course, we're joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who instigated these workshops many years ago. Over 7 years ago, we began these workshops. Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, whenever and wherever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of Keshe Foundation. We started nearly about this time 8 years ago with some bits and bobs running before the Knowledge Seekers program. And it's been an amazing journey. And we have learned a lot. And from what we see, the journey just starts. The journey of the knowledge and the knowledge seeking. The Spaceship Center, as you see it, will open up this Saturday and will become the center point for the space technology. In a way, the change of the course from rocket and propulsion to maglev positioning and that kind of structure, the way the universe works. We see new systems very much different than what was before. And we see a new understanding. Coincidentally, in maybe the right way, the enhancement unit, which was just seen advertised, is gone into production. This week, Keshe Foundation has submitted the production of the Keshe Foundation enhancement unit to the ratio or rate of 3 a week from this week to be produced in China, shipped to Austria, and somewhere by November, December, every week we will deliver 3 units. The initial units will be kept in the Keshe Foundation Center for flight tests. As we said, we are getting prepared for the flight systems. And as we receive 3 unit enhancement units a week from China, and we spread it around the world, and hopefully by the back end of the January, February Chinese New Year, we go into production of 1 unit per day. We have a full commitment for this, and we see our production to increase to around about 1,000 every year plus. We don't see China to be able to support such an expansion, and we transfer part of the development into Iran. That the enhancement units will be produced in 2 locations. As we see, China is running into what we call energy problems, and they've got to 3 days production. And the way it's going, they might go to 1 day production a week. It's very much when I heard about the 3-day production, raw memories of 1972, when the Shah of Iran increased oil prices from $1.50 to $2.50 and crippled the West. Hospitals had no electricity, and operations had to be done in the dark. Nobody could afford $1 extra per barrel for 200 liters of fuel. Today, the same has been done, but this time the instigators are United States. They allied with Australia, and where the Chinese took most of the coal, they invested in it over years, that they have a supply guarantee, and a new alliance between United States, Australia, Japan, and Canada made sure that China will be brought under control. We'll see the prices in China goods will increase. Shipment delays will be massive, and China will not be able to come out of this dilemma. They're already gone to 3 days production, and they will push them to 1 day production a day. For this reason, Keshe Foundation, with the insight of what we see and instruction from the heads of the Keshe Foundation, we are splitting our supplies into Iran and beyond, that we do not rely on the Chinese supplies anymore. But the first series of our goods have already been placed, and the enhancement units will be seen in public in places like Tehran, Arizona, and the rest of it. Interesting enough, we will see an expansion into the development of this technology within the Keshe Foundation. We have already informed the governments who suffer from the energy production, lacks of it, and the rest of it will come to understand the problem is getting bigger and bigger. Some of the nations in the world, the poorest, already lost most of their incomes trying to pay for vaccines. And now surcharges on the coal, where most of them have a coal fire burners from old time or made by Chinese, have to cover more. In a way, the whole economy of the world is becoming crippled by themselves through their own, what I call, mishandling of the situation. In either case, we will see what will come. We celebrate the opening of the Keshe Foundation Center in Linz on Saturday at 10 o'clock. Please, those of you coming, do not turn up beforehand. Our people will not be ready for it because we arranged everything for 10. We don't expect many people. Those who are coming, we know, and this is more than we can handle. We don't want more than 30, 40 people in the center due to a lot of other reasons. I'm sure there'll be a recording of it, the opening, and will be shown in the coming time. And you might get a tour of the Keshe Foundation and the new systems which have been launched and not been seen in public for the first time. We thank especially Austrian team, the whole of the Keshe Foundation manufacturing, the sales, the TV and the rest who are working relentlessly to get everything right for this Saturday opening. This weekend is a very small gathering of the knowledge seekers, but will be a bigger step for spreading knowledge. The center is used to bring the world leaders, to bring the world scientists to see the change on the permanent places and to show that it works. It's not just the exhibition to be. The proof, the confirmation will be given to the government officials and through the same. On the other hand, we congratulate the Iranian team in being able to establish Iran Energy Space Company with the permission of the government. Keshe Foundation in Iran has officially become a space program through the energy production for a space. And we'll see this as a breakthrough for what we promised of the 6th of June that allows us to do the flight tests by producing new energies. We try to gather much more momentum by the time we get there. And in so many ways, most of us are ready for the change. There is a note which is written by Rick, and we would like, Rick, if you expand on it, please, because it's important for all the knowledge seekers, Keshe Foundation websites, Telegram, YouTube, and all the teachings you do. Rick, would you like to explain more?
Yes. Just a second here while I get my screen up. Basically, it has to do with some new regulations with YouTube. So what's happening is I received a headline from the New York Times, which actually made statements about YouTube is banning all vaccine misinformation from its platform as part of an effort to reduce the spread of false claims about immunizations. That was the actual news that came in from, that was the breaking news from the New York Times. It was one of the headlines. So just let me get my screen up here. There we go. And so I went to the YouTube source of this headline because I wanted to find out more about it, as they were talking in the news blurb from the New York Times that YouTube said it would remove videos claiming that vaccines do not reduce transmission or contraction of disease, and content that includes misinformation on the contents of the vaccines. Claims that approved vaccines cause autism, cancer, or infertility, or that the vaccines contain trackers, will also be removed. So if we go to the YouTube blog where this information came from, the headline is Managing Harmful Vaccine Content on YouTube, and how they're expanding their medical misinformation policies on YouTube with new guidelines on vaccines. I note the previous medical misinformation page on YouTube on vaccines was over a page long, or about 2 pages of very detailed information. So they're expanding on that, and basically they give a bunch of reasons for that. And if we look at the policy, let's see here. So they mentioned they've had to work hard to remove various content and so on. So besides what the New York Times mentioned there, it says our policies not only cover specific routine immunizations like for measles or hepatitis B, but also apply to general statements about vaccines. So they're not only covering the COVID vaccine now, they're covering all vaccines and all misinformation about vaccines, or anything that falsely alleges that approved vaccines are dangerous or cause chronic health effects, and so on. And so this is the new policy that they've come up with, and they seem to be clamping down. Several prominent YouTube channels have been taken down recently, including, what's his name, Robert Kennedy, I believe it is he was one of the prominent sort of anti-vax people out there. His channel with millions of subscribers has just been taken down, and so on. So the important thing is we have to be careful when we produce broadcasts for YouTube to not include the so-called vaccine misinformation. So people that are producing the videos and are wanting to show videos on our channels will have to be aware of that this has now been taken a step up, let's say, on the whole claims about vaccines in particular. They brag how they've removed over 130,000 videos for violating our COVID-19 vaccine policies.
I think you said somewhere you think Telegram will go the same way.
Well, there's some rumors that Telegram might be clamping down as well on the so-called vaccine misinformation as well. So
whatever is not within the line of what they've decided will be taken down.
Apparently at this point, yes. Now there's going to be, of course, a strong rebuttal to that, a strong pushback, and we'll have other avenues open up, probably as far as the people still trying to get their message out and so on. But it's become even more of a battle than it was before.
Yep, just just try to avoid talking or in the teachings or your private teachings about vaccines and corona. We understand how it works, we understand what it is, and hopefully in the near future there'll be other ways of communication that is not mass controlled. The teaching of today comes from what we have learned in the past few weeks. What we thought we understood from the totality of the knowledge. We are here today because of what our ancestors over millions of years have gathered as information, and they have embedded it in our genes. What not to eat, what shape to have to survive, what colors will fit in which area under what condition. The most strangest thing will come to mankind in the space technology is that all this genetic modification to fit the environment, the position, and the place on the arrival of the man to a new destiny has to be done within seconds, within minutes. The genetic modification compared for living and surviving the new environment will become instantaneous. In a way, our DNA, which is an information of its own RNA within the soul of the physicality of the man, has to decide within seconds the evolution process which took mankind for millions of years in the space of Earth to learn and modify it. It'll be interesting in how our knowledge and understanding of the knowledge of the creation will bring us to a point of understanding how we shall survive, how shall we mutate to live on Earth as a man and on another planet as a citizen of that planet, but not in the shape of the man. Or those who decide to travel the depth of space with spaceships, creating conditions that they can survive in a physical condition the span of the universe. Up to now, every change we see within the structure of the body of the man has been immaculately worked out over billions of years, where the eye to be, where the nose to be, which kind of intestines to be. Do we need any more appendix? And why not that we all suddenly don't need it? And he goes through the birth process of all of us. These are the things that the mankind in the depths of the space has to face within minutes of the arrival. Conversion to the new environment, conversion of the genetic modification according to the survival crystal and the criterion of the position, time, and the place. In so many ways, how fast would our soul and the soul of physicality allow our physical body to go through mutation, to be able to live and survive in the new place and dimension? For us to go from black to Chinese took centuries, thousands of years, as we traveled and we went through different conditions. Now we go from man of Earth to man of planet Zeus. There are no eyes as we see with the sight of the soul. There are no arms and legs as the place is like an ocean of love and fields. It troubles you the same as you swim the oceans of the earth. You become like a fish swimming in the dimension of the fields of the universe. And then you'll find out that the body of the man in that position does not need anything except finding balance with itself and confirmation of the existence and presence in interaction of the fields with the environment. In a new enhancement unit, which will be shown in the Keshe Foundation Center, we will see a new version. In the coming time, when the new setting is set up, we'll create that condition of what you had, like the chairs, to another system where two systems superpasses or superimpose on top of each other to create the condition of the transition from the soul to the soul of physicality. In a way, what it means is that the system within the enhancement unit, the new systems, will allow the outer system to behave like the womb of the mother. And then the inside will live according to itself, by itself, in a different dimension and condition. In a way, is a multiple layers of fields. What does this mean? This is your enhancement unit. You're creating specific fields through the interaction of the reactors within the system, which their fields comes outside. It's like a womb of the mother. Within it, we embed a new system where again it's enhanced with different systems, which creates a new dimension of the fields, where now within the system we put the body of the man, which itself becomes another system with its own multiple field dimensions, where we can hold on to the body while we change the environment of the surrounding, where we can hold on to the shape of the structure while we travel the body of the man in a different dimension across the universe. The new enhancement units, which are built and is a way parallel to a new spaceship program, not only will carry the man who wants to go in a physical dimension, but he'll carry the man who likes to go in a soul dimension. This is a new breakthrough which allows many of you to decide which way and how I want to transport and transmute. Because if you have reached the confidence of working between the two, you will find out a very simple criteria, that the soul of the man within the center, in interaction with the totality of the system, decides how the system will run. To travel in the dimension of physicality, or to travel in the dimension of the soul of the man, depending on the maturity and depending on what the man expects to see. In so many ways, the new enhancement unit, which you have seen the first set of it, and from November on you will see more of them, will be a combination of the works of the Keshe Foundation in developing new space technology. And then I come to the fact that would we be able to travel the span of the universe as individuals or as groups, or we travel as collective souls within the structure of the system that allows us to be able to collectively carry thousands of souls to the position and destination, which means from now on, man has the capability to travel collectively as a soul to a new point and destinations and create the colonies of man. But that way, you all know who is from the man, from the earth, in that new position and new location where collectively land. This is one of the reasons that we have said in the recent past that the Universal Council in the coming time has to decide on the level of the immigration of the people from this planet. That the urge and the pleasure to see the universe does not deplete the life and the progress which has been made on this planet. In a new enhancement unit, which you will see coming up around January, you will see these new settings. We might allow certain people to enter, to test, not in the exhibition center, but in the specific positions which is agreed by the governments, that they can see where and how the situation will turn up, that we have, in a way, understanding of the control of what is about to happen to human race. The transportation and transmutation of the physicality and the soul of the man and the energy pack will become part of the normal routine work for the mankind on this planet and beyond, once it becomes aware of the totality of the knowledge, as has been to many other races in the universe. We are not going somewhere unique. We are going somewhere where we have been before. It's the first time we are trying to learn. We are trying to understand the new ways, the new knowledge. This will be a fantastic time for many of you. And at the same time, it will be a fantastic time for many of the knowledge seekers who would like to know, as we said, what's then? What would happen to us then in the space of the universe, in the dimension of the existence? And can we, if need be, turn this ship back home? Where do we look for? What do we understand that mankind must come home? How he will find his way back home? The knowledge and the understanding of the principle of technology depends on many ways how knowledge seekers interpret the knowledge given. And I'm sure the way we collaborate with different nations for different technologies in the coming time, mankind as a race will collaborate with the other races of the universe to develop, to understand the progress of the knowledge. Today, teaching is very simple. What is about to happen is about to be shown. Is a window to the future of mankind. It's a window to understanding that not only we have the technology, but we have the tools of delivering the technology. How do we create the energy fields in a bigger shell that in interaction with the inner shell would allow the shell of the soul of the man to accommodate itself in the dimension of physicality of the universe. This is part of the structure. In a way, the enhancement units become that of the mother. In that enhancement unit, the fields of it is the fields of the universe, where the womb of the mother carries the fields which fit the environment of the earth. The knowledge and understanding of it is part of the technology which will be revealed. Gradually, we will explain to not only the knowledge seekers, but to the scientists and the rest. And then they will have to go through the process of understanding how, who, and the way we will send groups of people out and how they will return and what they bring. And would they contaminate us? Would they bring us new knowledge in the shape of the fields and many other new adventures? This is part of the practicality of the new technology. Now that we have gone into full production of the enhancement unit, different applications of it will be delivered and for knowledge seekers to expand on it, to develop it more, and to understand how this technology can be used for specific jobs or specific purposes. What I would like to do is to allow you to ask questions and with it to expand the knowledge. As we can carry on, you will see the new enhancement units in the what we call the Keshe Foundation Center from Saturday, where both you will see this unit and this unit. And this unit is the man who is going to be in it. When we add one unit to the other, or combination of one unit to another, how far man will be able to be ready to see that not only its soul, but the soul of physicality can carry the transformation through the dimensions of the universe. The transmutation will come with the presence of the new fields from outside to inside. But what happens when the fields from inside suppose the fields from outside? In a way, the soul of physicality will take over the soul of the system. And then what would the humanity do in the process of the transportation and transmutation of the energies and the fields of the universe? As I said, we have just started the game of the space technology after 400 sessions of teaching and plus many others. There is one point that it has to be understood, that this technology cannot be used for harming another person, harming another soul, dictating, imposing one soul over the other. The system is self-balanced. The system will not allow such a thing, as it will be going back to the ethos of everything has to be correct. I hope in the past half an hour, I open your eyes to new methods of what we call transportation, transmutation, and containment. The biggest problem for you is to contain, to be able to contain. To be able to contain the soul of physicality and the soul of the man together, that a rival one does not become free of the other and create a condition of what we call the death on this planet as we know it. The scientists of the future will have to understand this process if they're there to launch a successful trip. If at any point you lose one or the other, you will create the demise of the separation of the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. It's not so all the time sweet and hunky-dory if one has not understood the process. The elevation of the fields, the gathering of the fields together to be as one is more important than trying to achieve movement, trying to achieve transportation or transmutation. Collective consciousness of the field's balance will become part of the process of the future. In so many ways, mankind will decide how many where, and to which position in the universe will send the mans of the earth for them to explore and bring back the knowledge. Not in hundreds of thousands of years, not in decades to go and come back, but more or less instantaneous. As we learned, we use the fields of the universe to reach the position of the universe. In the teaching of today, you will understand the practicality of the new technologies. What you will see, what we call as a horizontal units, as in the vertical units, which is going to be shown in the what we call the center. These systems are built as a prelude to the next extension of the dimension of the teachings. Next extension of the man to be able to travel different dimensions and positions in the universe. We will try to explain in a much deeper way how to be able to achieve position, time and place in a space without interfering or interacting between the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man. I hope many of you will enjoy coming to the lens gradually and enjoying the presence of the new technologies. Every week, every month, new systems will be added. And as we develop, and other Chinese, Iranians, the Americans, and the Brazilians and the rest develop more technologies, we'll gather all that in this center. That mankind become to understand is the center of knowledge, is the center of understanding about the creation of the life, and how this life will change for all of us. We never had such opportunity, now we do. And our knowledge and understanding is part of the process of gathering more from the interaction of the fields of the universe that creates for us a new dimension of understanding about the Creator. In the new exhibition center, when you come in, don't look at the systems anymore. Look beyond what the systems can deliver. What are the opportunities that man has been given and needs to expand to understand? In the past 3-4 weeks, we tried to build everything towards this point. That once you come to the center, once you see the systems, entices you. It's sow the seeds of the development within you. That brings you an enlightenment that you might be able to create another condition of the what we call existence. What you might take from it and what you might bring from it to add to it, to expand it and to enjoy it. In these new exhibition centers, we do our best to create the condition of what's then. What else can I develop with? What are the options? We try to do it this way that we stop the copycat business, that there's one there we have to copy. Do not copy, extend it, add to it, and see how you might be able to contribute towards the betterment of the human race in deeper space. How do we go from the soul of physicality to the soul of man? In existence, in the exhibition center, you will see these two. They'll be set in a specific way because this is the horizontal people and this is the vertical people. And the mankind has swung between the two. And with that in process, will create the new dimension of life, new intelligence, new understanding, new process of adding to the knowledge of man in the depth of space. We encourage you to look at new angles in creating new conditions and creating an understanding of the totality of the system. I hope I open your eyes to another new dimension on the 400 teaching, that you will understand there's a lot to come. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to be shared. Are there any questions? Or I'm going too far for you to catch up, that it become to be ignored as it's not understood?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. Well, we don't have a lot of hands up here yet. Let's put it that way. I think people are still pondering.
They're used to answer questions after the break.
Yep. This puts the pressure on people. We do have a couple of questions in the Q&A that are somewhat related, let's say. Let's try Marco Papato. Says, hello, Mr. Kesh. When you are in the workshop transmitting teachings and the creators start speaking, are you in a conscious or unconscious state? Could you please comment and explain?
I've never been in an unconscious state.
You might say that. However, there is a separation that takes place at times when, during your talks in the workshops, where source is speaking more directly, let's say. Is that true, or is it always source?
It's all the same source. Any other question?
We had a question from Education 2205, which is one of the students. Once the units are installed around the world, will they be able to supply energy so that people that are in the centers waiting to go into the units will not need food and water?
The systems are set to supply energies, which the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man needs to survive. It's not water, it's not bananas. It's the energy field which is needed for the transportation and transmutation. You'll find out when you move into the energy and what we call plasma state, there is not much need for what you call food, because there is not much what we call physical burnout. There's more balancing. So there's never been a shortage of will I get water or not, because when you land on the planet Zeus, there is no water. What's the use of creating water to be in there? You might get drowned in it because it doesn't exist, it doesn't need to be. So we look at the dimension of the fields which is needed for the time, place, and position, where there is no need to eat, as the energy needed to convey the plasmas and the energies are already so minute that it can survive billions of years. When we say a man needs 2,000 calories a day on the physical dimension, then we say that's only 20% of it. The rest comes from the environment. Then you calculate 20,000 or 10,000 calories a day is absorbed from the environment or eating to be able to function. In the dimension of the plasma, you need maybe 5 or 10 calories, not 2,000 calories, because there is no dimension of physicality. There is no motion of physicalities. Calories don't exist. Energy is in motion, but what we need are so simple. The physicality creates this condition of need for conversion. In the dimension of the soul, you don't need this. You hardly use any calories because everything's in dimension of the field interaction, not physical movement. And this is important for us to gradually to understand. With 1 calorie, you might live for a year. But you have to understand, do you even need that 1 calorie as you work through the interaction of the fields? Any other question?
Yeah, we have several hands up here now. And before we get into that, I'll just read the comment from Antonio in the Q&A here, who says, congratulations, Mr. Keshe, for the 400th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. It has been an amazing journey. Thank you again for this great service to humanity. Thank you to the Universal Council and knowledge seekers around the world. So it's a nice comment. Now we have several hands up. We have Ed and Alexandre to begin here. Go ahead, Ed.
Thank you, Rick. This is Ed from Indiana in the US. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I'm trying to understand the utilization of these new units, and as you drew the outer field or the outer perimeter, and then an inner perimeter, and then another, the man inside. I'm just trying to understand in the experience of the man how we assimilate this. And I don't know if I'm correct in this, but when a field is inside a field is inside a field, they all intermingle in a way. And so is our ability to accomplish this dependent on our acceptance of being merging into these other fields that are beyond our experience?
Why do we need to do that? I think you learn in the new structure, we allow things to happen according to our wish, according to what our soul sees to be the perfect combination.
So, okay, I'm just imagining though that, especially with the souls of physicality, that there's a resistance to this. Because
why do you consider that?
I guess I just think that in the physicality, there's a fear of going beyond.
Shouldn't the fear be gone by now, gradually?
Yes. It's the knowledge. Yes. You continually expand our mind to, see these new dimensions. And I guess that they're not something to fear, but so maybe the question is meaningless, but I'm just trying to understand it.
We create the conditions and then we enforce the conditions and then we accept and believe in the conditions we created. And happens with individuals, happens with the governments, and happens with the societies. And how we consciously allow this to happen is limitation we bring on ourselves to accept the next step. I had this case in past few hours. We told the Chinese a few days ago, there is a solution for your crisis. And up to now, every time we came in the recent past, the Chinese said it has to come from the Iranian government, not from you. And today, we send them to the Iranian government to get the permission to speak to Keshe Foundation, which is a bit harsh for the Chinese to do so. When we gave everything as a gift to them, they became arrogant. And now they have to be humiliated to go to the Iranian leadership to ask if they can speak to the Keshe Foundation, because they set the terms, not us. You understand? We set terms and then we go back with it. When it's free, when we gave it free, was too much for them because they became arrogant in their success. We do the same with our souls. Many of us, as we succeed in the space technology, will become arrogant because we achieve this, but we don't see the problem around the corner and we hit another problem, which is non-returnable. This is what it is. Always stay in a position that you don't have to be afraid of. You understand it and you can be correct. Doesn't matter in what shape, to be in the dimension of the soul or anything else to go with it. Fear is the biggest enemy of man.
And so the opposite of the fear might be then just you get to the place where it doesn't matter what is to come. You're just willing to accept it. It doesn't matter.
You don't willing to accept it. You go with it because you believe the other souls who brought you to this position know the best. You understand?
Thank you, yes.
Balance of the field, which brings you to that point, is the best. Even, I was explaining this to a knowledge seeker yesterday, even it's in the writing, even the stone has a soul. Even collective ganses you have in the, what we call in your jars, they have a reason, they have a soul, they can distribute, they can decide. Very recently, it's never happened, seldom ever, I can remember. I was working with some gases and a jar of a gas fell and broke. And I thought, I never do this, why? What happened, what's the reason? And then I stood back and I said to myself, what has this soul of what is in here as a gases trying to tell me? I'm going the wrong way, or I don't understand it. Because I was relying on it, they're telling me you don't need us, look another direction. Even with means, we don't need to be here. We served our purpose. And then it brought me to thinking, wait a minute, now I understand why this jar fell. I was relying too much on the material inside it, and my insight was limited to what was in there. And we're losing it. I had more of it. It wasn't that it was the only one. It brought me to understand a new principle, a new method, a new material, which is needed for the new condition. And it was very interesting how, when they say even a stone has a soul, collectively your jars, when you see it breaking and it's not to be used, they're trying to tell you something. And it was beautiful, the knowledge which was gained that way, or the insight which was created. And it was so perfect. It was so perfect. It completed the piece of jigsaw puzzle which was missing. And you can imagine, oh, happened accidentally. No, it has a reason out of nowhere. Because it means to tell you, you're looking at the wrong end.
And so perhaps that occurrence of the jar breaking was constructed by those who were guiding us because you were ready for that.
I don't look at it that way, but I look at it that collectively our souls lead us to a position. You understand?
Yes. Okay.
And collectively our soul leads us to a position. Why do we go to a certain extent to do things? And then we find out it cannot be done. Because we set track and then something happens and we change track and we say, oh, now I understand why that thing happened. We used to call it accidentally, but now we understand that even the cups, the plates, and the cat and the dog and the man all have a soul, and collectively, sometimes they see the best for the man to be able to be.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. We've got Alexandre. Would you like to go ahead? Hello, Alexandre.
Hello,
Yes, hi.
thank you. Alexandre do Brasil.
Do you need a translator, Portuguese?
Yep.
Raphael's here. He should be able to help.
Ok, estou aguardando.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oi, Alexandre, pode falar, por favor. Tenta ser só breve, por favor, se possível.
Ok. Boa noite a todos, boa noite, Rick, boa noite, Sr. Kesh. A minha pergunta está relacionada às unidades, né? O senhor falou da vertical e horizontal, que é para as pessoas horizontal e vertical. Poderia explicar mais sobre isso, por favor? Obrigado.
So, Mr. Kesh, my question is about the enhancement units. You told us, you explained to us about the vertical units and the horizontal units. But you said that the vertical units is for the vertical people and horizontal for horizontal people. Could you explain more about it, please?
These new units are for different purposes. The vertical system is parallel to the new transportation systems, where we should be able to transmute from one position to another. But at the beginning, we bring a dimension of to be able to transfer energies and the fields within the body of the man to a different application and positions. The horizontal system is, in practicality, deals with what we call the totality of the body as one field, where the horizontal one is section by section. This, when we deal with it as a practice as one, is enhanced in that way. This is set in a way that we can go section by section. You don't need anything to do with the legs. You don't need it if you're dealing only with the heart or with the brain. This is to do with the combination of the use, but vertical position is as part of the next step what we do with transportation. These are big units, around about 2.5 meters tall. Any other question?
Muito obrigado. Boa noite.
Let's-
Bom dia.
We have to understand that we start teaching gradually different applications into the new technology. It's very much that when we had the first car engines, and then we had to learn, then we built more advanced car engines and everything else, and then became rockets from what we learned from the engines. Now we're going through the same process, but this time through the fields, the interaction of the fields and systems, which allow different application of the fields to manifest different, what we call principles.
Okay, we've got Alex with a hand up here. Alex, would you like to go? Oops. There we go. Alex, would you like to go ahead?
Sorry, Rick, it's a mistake. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, you have to say something now that you've
Oh, yeah.
accidentally opened your mic.
Thank you, Rick. I want to thank Mr. Kesh for the amount of knowledge has been spreading all over the place. And then recently, I just did some little experiment with a reactor that gave me some very, very good results. So I want to encourage everyone, not just to talk, or listen to the lectures alone, but you have to go and do your own research, because if you don't do it, no one is going to do it for you. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you very much, Alex.
All
I
right.
hope you're well in Nigeria.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I knew he had some little message there. That's the same message I had for the Kesh Plasma Reactor Group last night, for people to not just talk and theorize, but to actually do things so that they gain an understanding of the technology rather than just a theoretical knowledge about it.
If you're going to go through another cycle of lockdown, if they bring us to that point, we have plenty of time to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to go to a commercial break and come back?
Sure. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. We'll take a few minutes here now then for a commercial break. And we'll be back in probably about 10 minutes or so, maybe a bit less.